Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between the 5 core set 2019 Planeswalker decks and the Battle of the Horde challenge deck from Born of the Gods. For this, we will be playing 2 games against this challenge deck. The first one on normal difficulty and the second one on hard mode, with 3 and 2 turns respectively before the Horde attacks. And for these battles, we will be using the following hero cards. We will be using the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card, and we'll be applying these cards to every single player here, because I only have one of each copy of the card. And then we'll also be using the Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. So this means that every player here will be able to play 2 lands on each turn. In addition, I have spread out the 5 colored hero cards to each player. These are one-use hero cards from Born of the Gods, and Sarkhan here has the Warmonger. It says exile the Warmonger. Creatures you control gain +2/+0 and haste until end of turn. Vivien has the Provider. It says exile the Provider, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Ajani has the General. It says exile the General. Creatures you control gain +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap them. Tezzeret has the Savant. It says exile the Savant, tap all creatures your opponents control. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. And Liliana has the Tyrant. Creatures your opponents control gain -1/-1 until end of turn. We'll begin the first game by drawing 7 cards apiece. Sarkhan draws a Mountain, a Meteor Golem, a Mountain, a Spark-Turn Dragon, a Shivan Dragon, a Demanding Dragon, and Trumpet Blast. This is not a very good hand because it is all expensive cards and only 3 lands, and so we are going to mulligan this and go back to 7 because this is a casual multiplayer format. Alright, we have a Mountain, Sarkhan's Whelp, Meteor Golem, Kargan Dragon Rider, Vishnu Pyromancer, Shock, and Sarkhan's Dragonfire. There's only 1 land and this is not ideal, so we'll actually go back down to 6. Now we have a Shock, Kargan Dragon Rider, Goblin Motivator, Hostile Minotaur, Sarkhan's Whelp, Mountain, and Mountain. This is certainly keepable, so we will do so, and then we will put the Hostile Minotaur on the bottom of the deck. Vivien draws 7. She gets a Colossal Dreadmont, Druid of Cowl, Reclamation Sage, Titanic Growth, Declare Dominance, Bristling Boar, and Forest. There's only 1 land, so we're going to ship this and then draw another 7. Vivien has a Rabid Bite, Forest, Colossal Majesty, Forest, and Forest. This is actually pretty bad with no plays and a whole bunch of lands, so we're going to ship this and go back down to 6. Now we have an Ursign Champion, Colossal Dreadmont, Plummet, Colossal Majesty, and Bristling Boar. There are no lands, so this is also an unkeepable hand. We'll go down to 5. Now we have a Forest, Elvish Rejuvenator, Ursign Champion, Aggressive Mammoth, Pelakka Worm, and Bristling Boar. This is again just a 1-land hand, but I don't think we can go less than 5. And so we will keep this and we'll put the Aggressive Mammoth and the Pelakka Worm at the bottom because there's no way we're going to be casting these anytime soon. Ajani draws 7. Ajani gets a Plains, Pegasus Courser, Mentor of the Meek, Plains, Court Cleric, and Plains. This is a keepable start, so we will do so. Tezzeret draws 7. Tezzeret gets a Riddlemaster Sphinx, Gearsmith Guardian, Dwindle, Gearsmith's Guardian, Tezzeret's Gatebreaker, Tezzeret Cruel Machinist, and an Island. This is a 1-land hand with a lot of expensive cards. That is not at all keepable, so we'll return this. Now Tezzeret has an Island, a Gearsmith Guardian, Island, Pendulum of Patterns, and Island. This is just too many lands, so we're going to ship this and go back down to 6. Now Tezzeret draws an Island, an Uncomfortable Chill, an Island, a Field Creeper, a Riddlemaster Sphinx, and Pendulum of Patterns. This is actually a keepable hand, so we will do so, and we will take the Uncomfortable Chill and put it on the bottom. Liliana will draw 7. She gets a Swamp, a Skymarch Bloodletter, a Swamp, a Walking Course, an Arisen Gorgon, and Liliana the Necromancer. This is an acceptable hand, so we will keep this. Because this is casual multiplayer, every player will draw a card. Sarkhan will draw a Mountain. Vivien draws a Forest. Ajani draws a Revitalize. Tezzeret draws a Snapping Drake. Liliana draws a Blood Divination. Turn 1, Sarkhan will play 2 mountains, and then we'll tap them both and play Kargan Dragon Rider. It is a 2/2, and it gains flying if you control a dragon. Flying will not matter in this match at all. Vivien will play both forests. We'll tap them both and play an Ursine Champion. It is a 2/2 human berserker, and if you pay 5 colorless and 1 green, it gets +3/+3 and becomes a bear berserker until end of turn. You can only activate it once each turn. Ajani will play 2 lands, tap 1, and then play a court cleric. Tezzeret will play 2 lands, tap them both, and play a field creeper. Liliana will play 2 swamps, tap them both, and play 1 walking corpse. At the end of the first turn, we'll use the harvester. Each player will draw and then discard. Sarkhan will draw a Sarkhan's Whelp and will discard the Sarkhan's Whelp. Vivien will draw an Ursine Champion and will discard the Bristling Boar. Ajani will draw a Militia Bugler and will discard the Revitalize. Tezzeret will draw an island and will discard the Pendulum of Patterns. Liliana will draw a swamp and will discard the Blood Divination. We'll untap. We'll draw. Sarkhan draws a Spark-Tongue Dragon. Vivien draws a Declare Dominance. Ajani draws a Plains. Tezzeret draws a Dwindle. Liliana draws a Blood Divination. Sarkhan will attack with the Kargan Dragon Rider. Vivien will attack with the Ursine Champion. Ajani will attack with the Court Cleric. Tezzeret will attack with the Field Creeper. And Liliana will attack with the Walking Corpse for a total of 9 damage and 1 healing by lifelink. The Minotaur will mill 9. There is 1 plundered statue here. It says, Hero's Reward. When plundered statue is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. We'll also gain 1 life to go up to 21. This is our collective health, and each player will draw a card. Sarkhan draws a Kargan Dragon Rider. Vivien draws a forest. Ajani draws Ajani Wise Counselor. Tezzeret draws an island. Liliana draws a swamp. In our second main phase, Sarkhan will play a mountain, and Sarkhan will tap all 3 lands to play a Kargan Dragon Rider and a Goblin Motivator. Vivien will play a forest. We'll tap all 3 forests to play the Elvish Rejuvenator. When Elvish Rejuvenator enters battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. We'll look at the top 5 cards. We have a Vivien's Jaguar, Forest, 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 and Oaken form. We'll take the forest and put it onto the battlefield tapped. We'll shuffle the rest and put it on the bottom. Ajani will play 2 plains. Then Ajani will tap 3 and play Mentor the Meek. It says, whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Tezzeret will play 2 islands and will tap everything and play a Snapping Drake. Liliana will play 2 swamps and will tap 3 swamps and play the Arisen Gorgon. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Sarkhan will draw a mountain and will discard the Spark-Tongue Dragon. Vivien will draw a forest and will discard the Declare Dominance. Ajani will draw a Rustwing Falcon and will discard the Plains. Tezzeret will draw a Scholar of Stars and will discard the Dwindle. Liliana will draw a Lich's Caress and will discard the Lich's Caress. Then we'll begin our third and final turn before the Horde attacks. We'll untap. And now we'll draw. Sarkhan will draw a mountain. Vivien will draw a Meteor Golem. Ajani will draw Plains. Tezzeret will draw a Skilled Animator. Liliana will draw a Sovereign's Bite. Sarkhan will play both mountains and will tap 3 to play the Sarkhan's Whelp. It has flying, and it says whenever you activate the ability of a Sarkhan Planeswalker, Sarkhan's Whelp deals 1 damage to any target. Sarkhan will then tap the Goblin Motivator to give the Whelp haste. Vivien will play the Forest. We'll tap 4 forests and play 2 Ursine Champions. Ajani will play the Plains. Ajani will tap 3 and play the Militia Bugler. It has Vigilance. It is a 2/3, and when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 2 or less from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So we'll do that. We have a Plains, a Noresco Swiftclaw, an Ajani's Influence, and a Plains. This is a whiff because there are no creatures with 2 power or less. We'll shuffle and put them on the bottom. We'll also use the Mentor of the Meek's ability. We'll pay 1 more mana to draw a card. Ajani draws another Plains. We'll play the Plains, and then we'll tap 1 mana to play a Westwing Falcon, and then we'll tap another mana to use the Mentor of the Meek's ability again to draw another card, which is a Plains. Tezzeret will play the Island. Tezzeret will tap 4 mana to play Scholar of the Stars. When Scholar of the Stars enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, draw a card. We do control a Field Keeper, so we'll draw a card. It is Tezzeret, Cruel Machinist. Liliana will play the Swamp. Liliana will tap 3 mana and play the Sky March Bloodletter. It is a 2/2 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. We'll target the Minotaur and we'll gain 1 life to go up to 22. The Minotaur will lose 1 life and mill 1 card. It is a Minotaur Younghorn. Then we'll go to combat. Sarkhan will attack with both the Dragon Riders and the Sarkhan's Whelp. Vivien will attack with the Elvish Rejuvenator and the Ursine Champion. Ajani will attack with the Court Cleric and the Mentor of the Meek. Tezzeret will attack with the Field Creeper and the Snapping Drake. And Liliana will attack with the Walking Corpse. That is 19 damage and 1 lifelink. So we'll go up to 23 and shed 19 cards from the Horde's deck. We have a Massacre Totem. It says when Massacre Totem is put into a graveyard from anywhere, put the top 7 cards of the Horde's library into its graveyard. We have a Refreshing Elixir. It says when Refreshing Elixir is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. So we have 5 players gaining 5 life. That is 25 life to go up to 48. We have an Altar of Mogus. It says when Altar of Mogus is put into a graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. And finally, we have a Plunder Statue. It says when Plunder Statue is put into a graveyard from anywhere, each player draws a card. Sarkhan will draw a mountain. Vivien will draw a forest. Ajani will draw Plains. Tezzeret will draw a Meteor Golem. Liliana will draw a Demon of Catastrophes. We'll now go to the Horde's turn. The Horde will play 6 cards. We have a Minotaur Younghorn, a Intervention of Karanos, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Minotaur Goreseeker, and a Phobos Reaver. The Intervention of Karanos says at the beginning of combat this turn, Intervention of Karanos deals 3 damage to each creature. That will wipe out pretty much every single creature on the board. Talk about overcommitting. So that happens, everything dies, including all the Minotaurs that the Horde has. And then we'll use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Sarkhan will draw a Sarkhan's Dragonfire and will discard the mountain. Vivien will draw an Elvish Rejuvenator and will discard the forest. Ajani will draw a Meteor Golem and will discard a Plains. Tezzeret will draw an island and will discard the Skilled Animator. Liliana will draw a Murder and will discard the Sovereign Spite. Then we'll untap. We'll draw. Sarkhan draws a mountain. Vivien draws a Colossal Majesty. Ajani draws a Plains. Tezzeret draws an island. Liliana draws an Arisen Gorgon. Sarkhan will play the mountain, will tap 5 mana, and cast Sarkhan's Dragonfire, dealing 3 damage to the Horde, and then we'll look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a red card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. 3 damage, and then we'll look at the top 5. Sarkhan has a mountain, a lightning strike, a mountain, and a mountain. The only card that's eligible is the lightning strike, which we'll take and put in our hand. We'll put the rest on the bottom. Vivien will tap 3 and play the Elvish Rejuvenator. We'll look at the top cards. It is a Druid of Cowl, a forest, an Ursine Champion, a forest, and a forest. We'll put 1 forest onto the battlefield tapped. Shuffle the rest and put them on the bottom. Ajani will play both Plains. Ajani will spend 3 and play the Pegasus Courser, and then we'll spend 5 and play Ajani Wise Counselor. Wise Counselor enters the battlefield with 5 loyalty counters and will immediately +2 him to 7 loyalty counters, and it says you gain 1 life for each creature you control. That is 1 life for the team, taking them to 49. Tezzeret will play both islands. We'll tap 6 mana play Tezzeret, Cruel Machinist. He enters the battlefield with 4 loyalty counters and will immediately +1 him to draw a card. Tezzeret draws a Gearsmith Guardian. Liliana will spend 5 mana and play Liliana the Necromancer. She enters the battlefield with 4 loyalty counters and will immediately +1 her as well to 5 in order to make the Horde lose 2 life. The Horde loses 2 life. And now it is the Horde's turn. The Horde will cast the top 6 cards. We have a Refreshing Elixir, a Amogus Chosen, a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Unquenchable Fury, a Phobos Reaver, and a Reckless Minotaur. The Refreshing Elixir says, at the beginning of the Horde's pre-combat main phase, reveal an additional card from the top of the Horde's library. The Horde casts that card. So next turn there'll be 7 cards. Amogus Chosen enters the battlefield tapped. Unquenchable Fury says that each Minotaur can't be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. And then will be attacked by the 3/2 Minotaur Goreseeker, the 2/3 Phobos Reaver, and the 4/1 Reckless Minotaur for a total of 9 damage, which we will just take on the face because it kind of doesn't matter. We'll go down to 40 life. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester. Sarkhan draws an Electrify and will discard the Shock. Vivien draws a Reclamation Sage and will discard the Colossal Majesty. Ajani draws a Plains and will discard the Plains. Tezzeret draws a Gearsmith Prodigy and will discard the Gearsmith Prodigy. Liliana will draw an Abnormal Endurance and will discard the Abnormal Endurance. We'll untap. We'll draw. Sarkhan draws a Mountain. Vivien draws a Forest. Ajani draws an Inspired Charge. Tezzeret draws an Island. Liliana draws a Swamp. In our first main phase, Sarkhan will play the Mountain. Vivien will play the Forest. She will tap 3 mana to play a Reclamation Sage. It says when Reclamation Sage enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. We will target the Refreshing Elixir. The Refreshing Elixir gets destroyed and each player will gain 5 life, meaning that we will gain 25 life to go up to 65. Ajani will tap 7 and cast the Meteor Golem. The Meteor Golem will target the Amogus Chosen. Amogus Chosen dies. Ajani will +2 to go to 9 and gain 1 life for each creature he controls, and that is 2 creatures, so we'll gain 2 life to take us to 67. The Reckless Minotaur should have died at the end of the last turn. Tezzeret will play the Island and will tap 6 mana to play the Riddlemaster Sphinx. It is a 5/5 flyer. When Riddlemaster Sphinx enters the battlefield, you may return target creature opponent controls to its owner's hand. We will target the Goreseeker. The Goreseeker returns to a non-existent hand and dies. Tezzeret will +1 to go to 6 and will draw a card. That is an Island. We will play the Island. Liliana will play the Swamp. Liliana will -1 to go down to 4 to return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. We will return the Arisen Gorgon. And then we will tap 6 mana to play both of our Arisen Gorgons. They have Death Touch because we control a Liliana Planeswalker. We'll attack. Vivien will attack with the Elvish Rejuvenator. Ajani will attack with the Pegasus Courser. The Horde takes 2 damage and loses 2 cards, like Intervention of Karanos and a Consuming Rage. Now we'll pass to the Horde's turn. The Horde will untap and will cast the top 6 cards. We have a Amogus Chosen and enters the battlefield tapped, a Minotaur Goreseeker, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Descent on the Prey, and a Minotaur Goreseeker. Descent on the Prey says whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gets first strike until end of turn and must be blocked this turn if able. We will be attacked by 2 Goreseekers. 3/2 first strike must be blocked, a 2/2 Minotaur Younghorn, first strike must be blocked, and a Phobos Reaver, first strike must be blocked. Sarkhan will tap 2 red mana and Lightning Strike one of the Minotaur Goreseekers, killing it. And then Sarkhan will spend 4 more mana to electrify the Amogus Chosen, killing that as well. This Meteor Golem will block the Phobos Reaver. The Riddlemaster Sphinx will block the Minotaur Goreseeker. The Arisen Gorgon will block the Minotaur Younghorn. First strike resolves and all the players' creatures survive, and then they will all kill their respective creatures. for the win. The players win the first round, and we'll be right back for hard mode. Game 2 will start with 7 cards each. Sarkhan gets a Sarkhan's Dragonfire, Mountain, Spark Converter, Mountain, Tropic Blast. This is a terrible hand because we have nothing to start the game with and only late game cards, so we'll go ahead and mulligan back to 7. Sarkhan's second hand is a Hostile Minotaur, Sarkhan's Whelp, Vivien, Pyromancer, Mountain, Thud, and Mountain. This is certainly a keepable hand, so we will do so. Vivien draws 7. Vivien draws a Forest, Plummet, Ursine Champion, Forest, and Meteor Golem. This is not a great hand. We do have a playable, and we can hope to loot into a better hand, so we'll keep this. Ajani draws 7. He gets a Silverbeak Griffin, Luminous Bonds, Rustwing Falcon, Plains, Court Cleric, Plains, and Cavalry Drill Master. This is a keepable hand, so we will do so. Tezzeret draws 7. He gets an Island, Uncomfortable Chill, Island, Gearsmith Project, Island, and Snapping Drake. This is not a great hand, but it does have some playables, and we can hope to loot into better, so we'll keep this. Liliana draws 7. She gets a Tattered Mummy, Swamp, Skymarsh Bloodlet, Arisen Gorgon, at normal endurance, Arisen Gorgon, and Blood Divination. There is only 1 land, and we cannot cast anything, so we're going to shift this and go back to 7. Liliana draws a Meteor Golem, Arisen Gorgon, Swamp, and Skeleton Archer. This is also not a great hand because we don't have any sacrifice fodder and we don't have anything that really starts the game, but I think this is still keepable because we'll have at least something on turn 2. We'll draw. Sarkhan draws a Mountain. Vivien draws a Bristling Boar. Ajani draws a Silverbeak Griffin. Tezzeret draws an Island. Liliana draws a Swamp. Sarkhan will play 2 mountains, tap them both, and play a Vivien Pyromancer. It says when Vivien Pyromancer enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target player or Planeswalker. We'll target the Horde, and the Horde will lose 2 creatures. Or 2 spells, as it were. Vivien will play 2 forests, we'll tap them both, and play an Ursine Champion. Ajani will play both planes that he has, we'll tap both and play a Court Cleric and a Rustwing Falcon. Tezzeret will play both islands, we'll tap one of them to play a Gearsmith Prodigy. Liliana will play 2 swamps. We'll end the first turn with the Harvester, it'll tap, we'll draw and discard. Sarkhan will draw a Mountain and will discard the Thud. Vivien will draw a Forest and will discard the Plummet. Ajani will draw a Plains and discard the Luminous Bonds. Tezzeret will draw a Pendulum of Patterns and will discard the Uncomfortable Chill. Liliana will draw an Arisen Gorgon and will discard a Swamp. We'll go to our turn and untap. We'll draw. Sarkhan draws a Fiery Finish. Vivien draws an Ursine Champion. Ajani draws a Pegasus Courser. Tezzeret draws a Gearsmith Guardian. Liliana draws a Liliana Spoils. Tezzeret will play 2 mountains and will tap 3 to play a Hostile Minotaur. It has haste and is a 3/3. Vivien will play 2 forests. We'll tap all the forests and play a Bristling Boar. It is a 4/3 and can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Ajani will play a Plains. We'll tap all 3 plains and play the Pegasus Courser. Tezzeret will play 2 islands. We'll tap all the islands and play a Snapping Drake. Liliana will play 2 swamps. We'll tap 3 swamps and play an Arisen Gorgon. We'll attack. Sarkhan will attack with everybody. Vivien will attack with the Ursine Champion. Ajani will attack with the Rustwing Falcon and the Court Cleric. Tezzeret will attack with Gearsmith Prodigy. That's for 10 damage and 1 lifelink, so we'll gain 1 life to go to 21, and we'll do 10 damage to the Horde and shed 10 cards. We have an Altar of Mogus. It says when it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, the Horde sacrifices 2 Minotaurs. There are no Minotaurs to sacrifice. We also have a Refreshing Elixir. When it's put into the graveyard from anywhere, each player gains 5 life. That is a total of 25 life to take us to 46. Then the Horde will cast the top 6 cards. We have a Intervention of Karanos, which will deal 3 damage to each creature. We have a Phobos Reaver, a Phobos Reaver, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Minotaur Goreseeker, and a Minotaur Goreseeker. Everything looks like it's going to die this turn. In response, Vivien is going to exile the Provider to put 2+1/+1 counters on the Bristling Boar, making it a 6/5, and we will gain 5 life to go up to 51. And then the Intervention of Karanos will kill everything, including all the The Bristling Boar is the only survivor. At the end of the turn, we will use the Harvester to loot. Sarkhan draws a mountain and will discard the mountain. Vivien draws a Scala Wolf and will discard the Ursine Champion. Ajani draws a Plains and will discard the Cavalry Drillmaster. Tezzeret draws an island and will discard the Pendulum of Patterns. Liliana draws a swamp and will discard the Liliana Spoils. Will untap. Will draw. Sarkhan draws a Goblin Motivator. Vivien draws a Forest. Ajani draws a Plains. Tezzeret draws an island. Liliana draws a Blood Divination. Sarkhan will play the mountain and will tap 4 mana to play the Sarkhan's Whelp and the Goblin Motivator. Vivien will play 2 forests, will tap 5 mana to play the Scala Wolf. When Scala Wolf enters battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a green card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We have a Vivien's Jaguar, Forest, Titanic Growth, Aggressive Mammoth, and Vivien's Jaguar. The Mammoth is clearly the best card of the bunch, so we'll take that, put that in our hand. We'll shuffle the rest and put them on the bottom of the library. Ajani will play just 1 Plains because we might want to throw this away with a looting effect. We'll tap all of our Plains and play both Silverbeak Griffins. Tezzeret will play 2 islands. We'll tap 5 of them and then play the Gearsmith Guardian. Liliana will play 1 swamp. We'll tap 3 swamps and play yet another Arisen Gorgon. Vivien will tap the Bristling Boar and will attack for 6. The Horde mills 6. And then we'll go to the Horde's turn. The Horde will cast the top 6 cards. We have a Minotaur Younghorn, a Plundered Statue, which will gain them 7 cards on the next turn, a Minotaur Younghorn, a Descend upon the Prey. Whenever a Minotaur attacks this turn, it gains first strike until end of turn and must be blocked this turn if able. A Minotaur Goreseeker and a Minotaur Goreseeker. These will all come in on the attack. We must block all of them if we are able. Scala Wolf will block a Younghorn. Guardian will block a Goreseeker. Gorgon will block a Younghorn. The Goblin Motivator will block one of the Goreseekers. The Goblin Motivator will die to first strike. The Scala Wolf, the Arisen Gorgon, and the Gearsmith Guardian will take out one of the Goreseekers and both of the Younghorns. And then we'll end the turn. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Sarkhan draws a mountain and will discard the mountain. Vivien draws an Ursine Champion and will discard the Ursine Champion. Ajani draws an Oresco Swiftclaw and will discard the Plains. Tezzeret draws a Scholar of the Stars and will discard the island. Liliana will draw a swamp and will discard the Blood Divination. We'll untap. We'll draw. Sarkhan will draw an Onake Ogre. Vivien will draw a Forest. Ajani will draw a Plains. Tezzeret will draw a Skilled Animator. Liliana will draw a Blood Divination. Sarkhan will tap 3 and play the Onake Ogre. Vivien will play the Forest. We'll tap everything and play the Meteor Golem. When it enters the battlefield, we can destroy a permanent. We'll choose the Plundered Statue. The Plundered Statue is destroyed. Each player will draw a card. Sarkhan draws a Kargan Dragon Rider. Vivien draws a Druid with Cowl. Ajani draws a Plains. Tezzeret draws a Riddlemaster Sphinx. Liliana draws a Swamp. Ajani will play 1 Plains. We'll keep the other one for harvesting. And we'll tap 2 mana to play the Oresco's Swiftclaw. Tezzeret will tap all 6 mana to play the Riddlemaster Sphinx. When it enters the battlefield, we can return 1 target creature an opponent controls to its hand. We'll choose the Minotaur Goreseeker. The Goreseeker is gone. Liliana will play 2. Sarkhan will tap 2 mountains and play the Kargan Dragon Rider. And then we'll exile the Warmonger to give each of his creatures +2/+0 and haste, making this a 4/2 and 6/2 and a 4/2, and we'll attack with all of them for 14 damage. Vivien will attack for 9 damage. Ajani will attack for 4 damage. Tezzeret will attack for 5 damage. And Liliana will attack for 3 damage. That is a total of 35 damage. We dropped a refreshing elixir that gains the players 25 life collectively to take us to 76. We also dropped a Massacre Totem. That means 7 more cards go into the graveyard. And that is the rest of the Horde's deck. So the Horde loses to the Core Set 2019 Planeswalkers. I don't think that this particular challenge deck is well balanced for this many players. It seems to be super swingy, and the advantage definitely is on the players. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. If I made any rules errors or play errors, also let me know, and I will try to improve in the future. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. Next time I'll be pitting these Core Set 2019 Planeswalker decks against the Defeat a God challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. That is the hardest of the challenge decks, so if you want to see them lose, that is the best one to see them lose at. Until then, this was Refresh, and thanks for watching.